in Lakewood, New Jersey. Georgian Court University Acrobatics and Tumbling is live on the CACC Digital Network. A good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Alongside Sam Hosford, I'm Andrew Byrne. Tonight, the Lions of Georgian Court University take on the Sharks of Long Island University in a National Collegiate Acrobatics and Tumbling Association meet. For Georgian Court, they continue to soar to new heights. They come in at 3-3 on the season after their first ever tri-meet sweep in program history. Georgian Court downing AIC and Stevenson on March 19th. The Lions finishing with a program record 210.265 score. They beat AIC, a first-year program, 32.825, and Stevenson 179.025. Georgian Court, Sam, also set program highs in all three acro event heats. You've had an opportunity to watch them closely at home. What would you say has been the biggest reason that this program has taken that next step in year number two?
Yeah, I think that they definitely have added some new additions with the freshmen that they have brought in, and that has definitely helped elevate their level of play on that mat. So it definitely has been interesting to see those new people intertwine with our returners and just being able to compete fully and at a more competitive level.
And on the other side, this is an LIU bunch that comes in at 4-4 on the season. This is their final meet of the 2025 regular season. They've won 3 straight. Georgian Court saw them a couple of times last year, and you and I were very impressed with what LIU brought to the table. What should we expect from them tonight?
We saw them in warm-ups a little bit, Andrew. They are definitely looking strong out there. A very experienced team, which is a given from what we've seen last season. So I'm expecting them to have a little bit more of elevation from last season, but obviously continue to be strong as they always have been.
They are introducing the teams right now. LIU taking the mats in front of a nice crowd that has made the trek. And now it's the host Lions of Georgian Court that will stand alongside the Sharks of LIU. Well, to get us ready for tonight's NCATA meet, I had the opportunity to catch up with Georgian Court first-year assistant coach Max Gelati to find out what's been working for Georgian Court of late as they continue to set program highs each time they take to the floor.
Coach, this Georgian Court Acrobatics and Tumbling team continues to soar to new heights. We saw another meet record for Georgian Court, their first ever tri-meet sweep. How excited have you been to see this team's growth from the first meet of the year up until this point?
It's an incredible thing, actually. It surprises us every single day just how consistent they've been, because you can't continue to climb and keep reaching these new program records and scores without being so incredibly consistent. And with all the adversity that's been thrown at this team between injuries and just things that happen in life, they have taken everything in stride and they're incredibly resilient. So it makes me really, really proud as a coach.
One big area that Georgian Court has shown continued improvement in is the team event. Another tremendous performance from Georgian Court last time out. How do you look to build on that success tonight against LIU?
We've just put a lot of reps in for team event. We take everything piece by piece, then we put the whole thing together. And so we've just spent a lot of time working on it. We even have some new athletes stepping up because we've had some athletes with injuries. And so I'm excited to see how they'll do in their first time out there in some of their events.
This LIU club is no stranger to Georgian Court. The Lions saw them a couple of times last year. What sticks out about a Sharks program that's starting to turn the quarter after a tough start to the season?
They are just an incredibly talented team. We're excited to watch them. They bring out really high start values and some new skills that we haven't really even tried here at GCU yet. So it'll be really exciting to see how they do.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
And we welcome you back inside the GCU Wellness Center. Let's inform our viewers about what an NCATA meet is. It's a team competition that consists of 6 events. The first event is compulsories, followed by 3 heats within the acro event, then the pyramid event, and then halftime. After halftime, there's the toss event, the tumbling event, and the team event. A running score is kept throughout the meet. The team with the most cumulative points at the end of all 6 events is the winner of the meet. The first event, compulsory. There are 4 heats: an acro heat, a pyramid heat, a toss heat, and a tumbling heat. The skills for the compulsory event represent the basic skills of the sport of acrobatics and tumbling. In this event, each team executes the same skills for direct comparison. Each heat begins with a start value of 10. Officials look for execution, body position, and stability of the structures. And AIC taking to the floor for the first, LIU taking to the floor for the first time tonight. AIC was Georgian Court's most recent opponent. The Sharks have won 3 in a row. They are 4-4 on the season. And this NCATA meet is officially underway. Christina DiVincenzo, the top on your left. Adriana Ardilla, the top on your right.
Slight wobble there for LIU, but right into that shuttle hold.
Now they pop over. That was a good recovery there from DiVincenzo.
Absolutely was. And very synchronized.
One more component here. Finishing with the arabesque. And they'll twist down into the cradle. I mean, there's going to be some deductions for that wobble, as you like to call it, but when you look at the entire first heat, well put together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're starting off with a 10 value there, so Georgian Court with an 8 value, which is a little bit offsetting of that, but with that wobble, we might see some similar scores.
Well, as Sam mentioned, the start value in compulsory acro 10 for LIU. It is an 8 for Georgian Court. This is a Georgian Court team that is without the services today of a key member. The sophomore Gianna Mirasol is out with an ankle injury suffered earlier in the week in practice. And Sam, that's a big loss for Georgian Court.
Absolutely. She was involved in a lot of events here. So just seeing how they'll replace her today and how they'll be able to recover without her in.
I was talking to the coaching staff before the meet, and they said to keep an eye on Mia Zdanowicz is going to be doing the mid on the crab pyramid later. That's the first time she's done that. She's typically the counter, but, you know, there's a hole that needs to be filled, and Georgian Court is going to turn to different athletes tonight, led by Mia Zdanowicz, when we get to that area of tonight's meet. So we just saw LIU, and now it will be Georgian Court. This is a GCU club that was 1-6 last year in their inaugural campaign. They are 3-3 this season. They are ending the year at home on April 10th against Caldwell. So this is their penultimate meet of the 2025 season. And Sam, we chatted a bit about this in our pre-meet show, the growth of Georgian Court. And last year was kind of lay the foundation. Well, this year, this is a Georgian Court club that's now routinely surpassing 200 points. They had a program record score last time out at 210.265. How do they get to the 220, 230, 250?
Yeah, I mean, as a second-year program, you see the improvements, you see the level of difficulty going up, and I think that's important. So you just expect them, obviously, in the upcoming seasons to continue to elevate that.
Luann LeGregan, the top on your left. Caroline Iacolo on your right. Just a pop-off there from Georgian Court to start. Ali Pompliano has the important duties of counting for this first Georgian Court heat.
And you'll see this inversion. Very synchronized there. Clean.
Final portion of the heat for Georgian Court. Liberty.
Slight wobble on both sides.
And a good start for GCU.
Absolutely.
So that was the compulsory acro heat. Next up is the compulsory pyramid heat. Want to remind our viewers that there are 4 heats in compulsory, our first event of the night. We just saw the acro heat. Up next is pyramid, then toss, and then the tumbling heat. One thing that stands out, partner, about this LIU team, they have a lot of players on their roster, 26 this season. And that kind of depth has certainly helped the Sharks this year. They had a big roster last year. When you have that many, you can work on a lot of different things, and that's one thing that Georgian Court expected to see tonight. Skill sets that LIU is going to perform tonight that other teams Georgian Court has faced have not performed.
Absolutely. I mean, you'll see different athletes out there for LIU having different sets of skills, which is super helpful when it comes to elevating those skill levels and those value totals.
Now here is the pyramid heat of compulsory. And LIU is up with a start value of 10. In fact, all of their start values are 10 in the first event of the night.
So you see they started with that thigh stand.
Straddle hold. And the pop over.
That was very well executed.
That's more like LIU acrobatics
Yes.
and tumbling from what we saw from last season.
That I wouldn't be surprised if that was close to almost a perfect 10.
Some quick facts about the NCATA. There's over 1,100 student athletes competing on acrobatics and tumbling teams this season. 56 member institutions set to compete or engage in a recruiting year this year. 47 of those 56 member institutions are actually competing. This sport continues to grow, and Georgian Court in their second season. LIU also in their second season. They were 6-4 in their inaugural campaign.
And LIU started with that 10-0 value there, and actually Georgian Court coming up is also going to have a 10-0 value to start.
Georgian Court gearing up for the compulsory pyramid. Georgian Court's roster is somewhat comparable in size to LIU. There are 21 for Georgian Court, but they are without the services tonight of Mirasol. And now the Lions take to the floor. Judges are looking for stability throughout the structure here in this compulsory pyramid heat.
They also started off with that thigh stand. And they're also going to go into that 180 glide up. This actually, we're seeing the same movements that LIU did.
Could put them side by side. There wasn't much difference there between LIU and Georgian Court.
Absolutely.
In that compulsory pyramid heat. Well, Georgian Court, a lot of smiles, a lot of high fives as they head off. Great job that Sierra Garcia has done in her second season at the helm of Georgian Court Acrobatics and Tumbling. And a shout out to Sierra's mom, Nancy Garcia. Oh, for goodness cake on Instagram. She provided the birthday cheesecake to our producer, Robbie Fitzpatrick. Tremendous cheesecake. So be sure to go to Instagram. Oh, for goodness cake. Clever name. Shout out, Nancy. Thank you so much.
I didn't get to try it yet, so I might have to have it at halftime here.
I mean, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm not sure there's much left. And, well, you know, we call halftime dinner time, so that works. Here we go. LIU to the floor for the compulsory toss. And as Sam mentioned, the start value remains a 10. Ariel Beats is on your right. First time we saw her fly through the air for LIU.
They definitely had some height on that one.
It was a back tuck open toss with Beat and Ardilla, the Caldwell transfer, flying through the air. Speaking of Caldwell, that is Georgian Court's final opponent. We'll see them on April 10th at 6 p.m. Sam and I will have the action starting at 5:50 right here on the CACC Digital Network. Georgian Court with a start value of 10 as well. So for the most part, they have matched LIU's initial start value. The one difference was Georgian Court with an 8 in the compulsory acro heats. This is the third of 4 heats in event number 1. Coming up, the acro event, and we're looking forward to that. Going to get Sam's thoughts on that in a moment because Georgian Court was unbelievable in event number 2 in their tri-meet sweep of AIC in Stevenson on March 19th, but we'll get to that in a moment. Here's Georgian Court. Synchronization is key.
We saw the one pyramid come down a little bit earlier than the other ones, but other than that, stuck the landing, no falls.
Iacolo being caught just a split second before her teammate LeGregan. And now the compulsory tumbling heat, our final heat of event number 1. There are 6 events in an NCATA meet, 3, then it's halftime, then 3 more. And we close with the fan favorite, which is the team event, as we call it, organized chaos. Start value remains at 10 for LIU. They were 14th in the preseason rankings. They were not included in the recent championship rankings that were released earlier this week by the NCATA.
Now we saw LIU warm this up earlier, and it looked very clean.
Now the tumbling heat is a mixture of standing tumbling and running tumbling. You're going to start in that static position with the back tuck. Eventually, the student athletes are going to go to the left portion of the floor and do the running portion of the heat.
Standing back tuck to that toe touch to back tuck, and back handspring back tuck, which that one was very synchronized.
Now, one thing to keep an eye on, judges are looking for a stuck landing. Any little hop, a point deduction.
Round out back handspring, back layout. Very clean.
Splendid from LIU. And we're going to give you another look.
There was only one slight step that I saw in the beginning of that compulsory tumbling, and that might have been their biggest mistake for the whole part. But other than that, super clean.
Yeah, because when we just took a look at the instant replay in the running portion, we had just talked about that the judges are looking to see if there's any little hop. Didn't look like there was much there.
Nope.
And now Georgian Court, their start value is an 8. And once again, stuck landings are important. Synchronization. And a nice treat for the fans on the 75-inch TV across the way. They get the opportunity to see the instant replay. That was a big hit last home meet for Georgian Court when they took on Kutztown. Saw the student athletes kind of closely watching to, they get to use it as a chance to, okay, there's a spot we need to improve on.
It's definitely a tool for them, tool for the viewers, tool for the audience.
One thing we've noticed doing this now for a couple of years is, in addition to the teams really supporting each other, when they're not competing, they're always on the practice mats working on something. There's not a lot of just standing around.
Yes, getting ready for the next event.
Here's Georgian Court for the compulsory tumbling. Final heat of event number 1.
And a slight fall there. And a fall and a step.
Now the running portion. The athletes will cross your screen from left to right momentarily.
So we'll see Georgian Court do a round off, back handspring, back tuck. Little off on the synchronization, but they were all stuck on that one.
So after a little bit of a slow start, Georgian Court started to get things going as the heat played out, and they end with, for the most part, stuck landings. Well, that brings to an end, as you get a look at Georgian Court's compulsory tumbling heat, that brings to an end event number 1, and we move on to event number 2, which is the acro event. This is the optional portion of the meet. Each team competes with skills previously chosen with different possible start values. There's between 2 and 4 athletes on the floor in each of the 3 heats. Heat 1 is 5 elements, Heat 2 is 6 elements, and Heat 3 is 7 elements. The start value is determined by the difficulty and the combination of each skill. In addition, each position must be held for 3 seconds. This event demonstrates power, strength, and balance. And Coach, Georgian Court was unbelievable in the acro event in that tri-meet on March 19th. They set program highs in all 3 events. The 5 element, they turned in an 8.95. The 6 element, they turned in a 6.90. And the 7 element, a 7.5. How do they look to replicate that success tonight with some pretty high start values?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that they obviously can take the mistakes that they made from the previous tri-meet, and obviously they were elevated there with the scores that they did receive. So hopefully we can see a little bit of a better matchup here as far as start values go, considering LIU is going to be at a start value of 10 for all of these, and Georgian Court's just a little bit under, but we would love to see them get to as close as their high value that they can.
That's one thing that Georgian Court, over the course of the first almost 2 years of the program, slowly but surely those start values have really started to tick up. You are watching an NCATA meet between Georgian Court and LIU here on the CACC Digital Network, alongside Georgian Court head women's lacrosse coach Sam Hosford and producer Robbie Fitzpatrick. I'm Andrew Byrne. We're still waiting for the scores to trickle in. That's the one key difference in this sport between others. You don't know for a while what the scores are, and we can't announce them or show them to the viewers until they are entered into the system and our public address announcer, Joe Hoffman, starts to read them. Then we can inform the viewers. So we don't know the scores. The student athletes and coaches don't know the scores. You can, in your mind, start to figure out, okay, I know we're going to lose some points here, but until it's put up, it's just a guessing game.
Yeah, it's that waiting game overall.
So while we wait, why don't we shout out some of our great sponsors: Garden Savings Federal Credit Union, Stouts Transportation, Kessler Rehabilitation Center, Castle Interactive. And here are the scores in the acro heat: 7.35 for LIU, 6.30 for Georgian Court. In the pyramid, a 9.35 for LIU, a 9.15 for Georgian Court. In the toss, 9.70 for LIU, 9.25 for Georgian Court. In the tumbling, a 7.75 for LIU, a 3.00 for Georgian Court. That was the heat that hurt the Lions. LIU 34.15 in front of Georgian Court, 27.70. And Sam, it was tight up until that tumbling heat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about how the compulsory pyramid and toss, both teams had that 10.0 start value, and Georgian Court came close to where LIU was. And you're correct, it was when that got to that tumbling
Ardilla. The Caldwell transfer, the junior. Starting this 5-element heat for the visitors, LIU.
See that straddle. Press up to press down. That takes incredible strength.
She was unbelievable when they were here last year, and she is picking up where she left off.
And into a pike press down. Wow. That was phenomenal.
Number 14 in the light blue and yellow, making it happen for LIU. Well, it shouldn't come to you as any surprise. She's a level 9 gymnast. She was a member of the cheerleading team at Notre Dame. And after 1 year at Caldwell, she's had 2 standout seasons in LIU.
Absolutely. That was pure strength there.
You were a pretty good gymnast back in the day, Coach.
I tried my best.
Hey, that's all that matters. I was a very good counter back in the day. You needed 1, 2, 3. I got you, Coach. Here we go, Georgian court.
Support roles matter, Andrew.
Well, and that's what I'm glad you say that, though, because I've asked Coach Garsh about this, and the counter is a very important role in acrobatics and tumbling because they are essentially what allows the team to stay in sync. If they're
Absolutely.
off, the team's off. And as I say that, a little out of sorts is Georgian courts. Now Luann McGregor is upright. Straddle hold into the pop over. Now the inversion. It is Caitlin Meyer that is holding up Luann LeGregan. Some difficulties early for Georgian court, but as they've shown thus far, really both teams have, after any kind of problem, they've quickly righted the ship.
Absolutely. I mean, you just have to move on and get on to the next move and be able to figure your way out of it.
So we move on to the 6-element heat, and LIU with another start value of 10. This LIU club, you want to talk about some unreal competition, Coach? This season they have faced number 8 in the country, Iona, number 1, Baylor, number 2, Quinnipiac, number 6, Fairmont State, number 9, Frostburg State, and number 15, Duquesne, and they've beaten Frostburg State and Duquesne. They held their own with Iona. I mean, you can see why that tough schedule has really prepared them as the season has gone on, and they're only getting stronger with 3 straight wins.
Yeah, the harder the competition that you can see helps you get ready for the remainder of the teams on your schedule. So although they did see a tough competition in the entirety of their season, it's going to help them for the future.
And Shelby Armstrong, their head coach, she has the distinction. This is the 3rd different program she's building from the ground up. She built up Mars Hill, then Davis and Elkins, and now she is building LIU up. And like Georgian court, Sierra Garcia, she attended the University of Oregon and has a couple of national titles.
That was very clean of LIU there.
That was the 180 pop over. There's the back layout, full dismount. This is the 6-element heat.
And again, we're going to see that straddle press down, which requires a ton of strength from both of those athletes.
And then the twist down. That is Ariel Beat on your left. And that is McKenna Gaidish, the freshman out of British Columbia, on your right.
That was amazing. And you saw smiles on their faces as they came off that mat.
And I'll tell you what, the first heat of the first event, LIU had some troubles. Since then, I mean, it's been pretty flawless.
Absolutely. I mean, they're recovering from their mistakes and they're thriving in the acro portion of this meet.
This is the one area where Georgian Court was so good last time out. As we show our viewers the score after that first event, the compulsory event, LIU 34.15, Georgian Court 27.70. And here come the Lions.
Now, Georgian Court is starting at an 8.4 start value here. Slight wobble there, but they're going to save it. Oh.
It's all right. Chloe Jorgensen going to move on to the next element.
And that's that 3-base inversion.
Georgian Court's a little frustrated, I understand it, but, you know, he's got to wipe the slate and move quickly on to the next.
Absolutely.
There's no time to dwell on it, and they just right into that next element.
That's what you have to do.
So the 7-element heat is up next, and we went from 5 to 6 to 7. You're adding a different skill each time. Now it's LIU. This LIU program earned their first meet in program history at Iona on Valentine's Day last year. They announced the addition of the sport back on January 24th of 2023, becoming the 8th Division I institution at the time to sponsor the sport. And a very strong first year. In fact, they started their first year 0-4 and then closed out the year with 6 consecutive wins. And just like last year, kind of a slow start this year, and all of a sudden entering what is right now on their schedule, their last regular season meet, an opportunity to win 4 straight.
Yeah, I mean, last season they definitely, like you said, had that slow start, but they clearly fixed their mistakes, worked hard at practice, and they were able to come out strong.
For all the latest news and notes surrounding Georgian Court Athletics, be sure to visit gculions.com. Schedule pages, photo galleries, statistics, and much more. gculions.com. And if you venture there right now, you'll see that tomorrow is a busy day for Georgian Court Athletics. Georgian Court men's lacrosse taking on Post. The Lions are one of 4 unbeatens remaining in the CACC through the first couple of games. Wilmington, Chestnut Hill, and Post are the other 3, so that's a big one for Mickey Hober's bunch tomorrow. Our coverage starts at 11:50. Georgian Court women's lacrosse, they're still unbeaten in CACC action. They have a championship rematch in Orangeburg on the turf with Dominican tomorrow in the late afternoon. Softball is in North Jersey to take on Felician. Track and field is competing at the Osprey Invite. A couple of weeks in a row they've been down at Stockton. Christina DiVincenzo, the sophomore, in the 7-element heats.
We're going to see that pop around, held strong. And that full twisting back layout dismount.
Now she's going to climb up into the inversion. Christina's sister, Jenna, is a part of Division I New Hampshire's gymnastics team. And DiVincenzo, that was mighty good from number 1.
Pretty much almost flawless.
Georgian Court, 1 more heat to go. And then we move on to event number 3. A look ahead, that is the pyramid event. And that is always a fun event, especially because Georgian Court this year has rolled out that new crab pyramid, which we're looking forward to seeing again with Emma Bennett and company.
We do love the crab pyramid.
Coming up on Saturday, April 5th from 11 to 4, the 14th Annual Wellness Expo at Georgian Court. Come meet amazing local and regional vendors. It gets underway at 11 a.m. from the casino ballroom and, weather permitting, from the casino front lawn. It's the 14th Annual Wellness Expo, Saturday, April 5th. This is a rain or shine event from 11 to 4, and it's important to note this is free and open to the public.
All right. Georgian Court with the acro set. Slight wobble there. But good recovery.
This is going to be the one base toe pitch. Mia Zdanowicz is that one base holding up Luann LeGregan.
Into that back tuck dismount. And here comes that straddle hold. Into the popover.
Want to make sure we recognize the student athlete there at the end that was holding LeGregan. It is number 19 out of Red Bank, New Jersey, Kaylee Gonzalez.
And you saw that slight wobble in the beginning, but they recovered, and the rest of it was very clean.
That brings to an end event number 2, and we are segueing into the pyramid event, our final event before halftime. In this event, athletes build 3 layers in a structure. The start value of each heat is determined by the difficulty and the combination of the entry, the structure, the dismount, and the top body position. The pyramid event has 3 different heats with different requirements for each heat. Heat 1 must have an inversion, Heat 2 must be synchronized, and then Heat 3 is an open heat. 2 key things for the judges to keep an eye on: position of the top and the stability of the structure. Start value for LIU in all 3 of these heats, as it's been for pretty much the whole night, 10s. For Georgian Court, they will be at a 9.3 in the inversion, and then Georgian Court is going to have a 10 in the synchronization and a 10 in the open. So the start values in this one are pretty close between the 2 sides. We wait for the scores to make their way into the official NCATA score tracking sheets, and we can recite them on the air and share it with our viewers. And I know the LIU contingent is going to be delighted when they see their score because, Sam, as you said, throughout their 5-element, 6-element, and 7-element heat, there wasn't many flaws, and here come the scores right now working their way to us. The judges agreed with your assessment. It was as close to perfect as you are going to see in an NCATA meet. In the 5-element heat, LIU 9.750. In the 6-element heat, a 9.9. In heat 3, a 9.2. Overall, they finished with a 27.950 out of a possible 30. They are up to 62.100. Georgian Court 5-element heat 7.850, 6-element heat 5.550, and the 7-element heat a 7.750. Their overall score 21.150. So through 2 events, it is LIU at 62.10, leading Georgian Court at 48.85.
I mean, we talked about that 6-element for LIU, and like I said, that was close to perfect, and GCU definitely struggled on that, but they made up in other areas.
You know, we'd have to do a deep dive. I wonder if anyone has ever gotten a perfect score.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that would be interesting.
Because that was pretty impressive from LIU, and here we go with the inversion pyramid heat. Start value 10.
So we're going to see them setting up in that thigh stand pyramid again.
And it's going to be number 14, Ariana Ardilla. Works her way to the top.
into that one-man extension, hand in hand, and that flat body dismount. Again, LIU.
Solid first heat of event number 3. Georgian Court coming up now with their turn at the inversion pyramid. And one thing that we have been talking about, and it's going to happen momentarily, the crab pyramid. Emma Bennett, the base on the bottom, is going to be holding 3 athletes.
I mean, that takes incredible strength. We saw it last time, and we were amazed by it. So it's great to see them put in some new elements.
And one thing I was told, as were you before, this is the first time that number 8, Mia Zdanowicz, is doing a mid-base roll on the pyramid in her collegiate career. Look at the strength from Emma Bennett.
You see Mia in that role for the first time.
At the end, it was Viacolo popping off, popping down, popping out towards the sideline. Coming up is the synchronized pyramids. Judges are keeping a close eye on the synchronization of the 2 teams. LIU with the start value of a 10. Also, to continue about the busy weekend for Georgian Court, we cannot wait. We have been waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally on Sunday, baseball going to have a doubleheader in Jackson against Dominican. First, they're going to go up to New York and take on the Chargers tomorrow in what is an early season important doubleheader with the Chargers of DUNY. Also, please note that Georgian Court has pushed back the start time on Sunday from 12 to 2, so Game 2 won't start until after 5. Here we go, LIU.
Again, they will be at the 10-0 start value here.
And they are going to do the bridge pyramids almost like a table. Remember the first time we saw that last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing. They are using a lot of that back strength, those arm strength, and they're holding up 2 other people.
The 2 tops and that 270 glide from the ground to the peak, and then they go to the full 360 twist down.
Again, quite the performance out of LIU there. Stuck the landings, no wobbles, no falls.
And we're going to take another look. It all starts with the bases. The bridge pyramids. And then Ardilla on your left and DiVincenzo on your right finish the synchronized pyramid heat with the 360 twist down dismount.
And LIU was extremely synchronized in that event.
Georgian Courts, they have a 10 start value as well for the synchronized pyramid heats. Your primary base is on the floor. The mid-level base is the one that hoists up the top. We just saw Mia Zdanowicz do that for Georgian Court for the first time, and Zdanowicz and company come out onto the floor. It is going to be Kimberly Shadwell, the base on your left. Emma Bennett, also a member of the Georgian Court women's soccer team, the starting goalkeeper on your right. And once again, Zdanowicz is a mid-base for Georgian Court. So too is Caitlin Meyer.
They also have that bridge hold at the bottom. And we're going to see those straddle holds at top.
And it was the freshman Chloe Jorgensen that took on the counting role for Georgian Court there.
And that was much cleaner for Georgian Court.
Taking another look at the heat from Georgian Court. I agree. I mean, the way this meet unfolds, you have so many opportunities to correct errors early on, and right away Georgian Court comes right back out there in the synchronized pyramid heat and turns in a strong showing.
Yeah, I mean, you go event by event here. One team can be stronger than the other in a certain event, and that's where they can catch up on points.
Open pyramid. If you've guessed that LIU start value is a 10, you are on the money.
However, Georgian Courts is also a 10 this time around as well.
And an open pyramid heat sounds exactly like you would think. Teams have discretion on the skill sets. Here come the Sharks.
Again in that thigh stand pyramid.
All in a supporting role to lift Christina DiVincenzo to the top. There's that extension. She's going to pop off from the shoulders.
And they did a phenomenal job there. They basically caught her midair, brought her down.
Smooth from the Sharks. And they are the Sharks. It was funny, overheard in the hallway before the meet tonight, there was a little kid, Sam, a couple of the LIU fans came in with the Shark heads, and the little kid said, "Look, Mom, at those Dolphins," and LIU is the Sharks, but it made for a nice, fun moment. But they are, in fact, the Sharks, and they have been phenomenal thus far. Here's Georgian Court. Final heat before halftime. Luann LeGregan getting raised up by Katie Santisi.
You saw that pike hole, that 360 flip.
And credit the base for Georgian Court, Kim Shadwald. And that was the first time in the collegiate career that Santisi was the mid-base for Georgian Court there. Talked about with some injuries, Georgian Court is mixing and matching, and nicely done from the true freshman by way of freehold. She was a high school teammate of Luann LeGregan. And we're taking another look at the first time that Santisi was the mid-base. Halftime in Lakewood. We will give you the score as soon as we get it on the CACC Digital Network. National Athletic Training Month, and you are getting a close-up at some of the certified athletic trainers here at Georgian Court. The man with the baseball cap, well, that, of course, is Patrick Zahn, and the young lady seated next to him, Adriana Siana. Thank them for all they do here at Georgian Court, pulling some late night duty on a Friday night to help out at Georgian Court Acrobatics and Tumbling. Boy, I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell a story here because he cleared it. If he didn't clear it, I wouldn't share the story. But the other day, Patrick Zahn showed off his hops, and he cleared the baby hurdle, the lowest possible hurdle setting, but he cleared it impressively after Georgian Court men's lacrosse. We were ready just in case we were going to have a blooper for the banquet, but he jumped over it. You think you could clear it, Sam? Lowest setting.
A small hurdle. I could probably flip over that, Andrew Byrne.
If you flipped over too violently, it would be a green card.
Only in women's lacrosse.
Here are the scores as they work their way to us. And once again, unreal production from LIU in the inversion pyramid, 9.70. Synchronized, 9.40. And in the open, 9.60. Overall, 28.700. They were at 90.800 at halftime. Heat 1, Pyramid, Georgian Court, 6.950. They got better and better as it went on. 8.750 in the second portion. That's synchronized. 9.550 in the open. They turn in at 25.250. And right now, Georgian Court is at 74.100. So they're within shouting distance of LIU at the halfway point. What were your overall impressions from that first half?
I mean, I think it was great to see Georgian Court come out of that first element and be able to make up for what they lost in it. So being able to recover and come out strong on top in the last one.
Sam's favorite part of the night, halftime, means dinner time. We're taking a break on the CACC Digital Network. We are ready for the start of the second half. Event 4 is the toss event. Here you will see 4 athletes tossing a teammate into the air. The teammate that's tossed in the air, known as a top, executes a flip or twist before they're caught. There are 3 heats in this event. The synchronized toss features 2 toss groups. These groups need to look exactly alike. The start value of the toss depends on skills that the top executes in the air. Officials searching for height, top's body position, and tight catches from the bases. It's the Salto heat, the synchronized heat, and the open heat. And as is always the case, the visitor goes first. So we turn our attention to our right and LIU with a start value of 9.90. Well, after a strong first half, we are excited to see what half number 2 has in store. Georgian court within shouting distance of LIU as we begin the second half. Boy, that 15 minutes for dinner goes by quick, doesn't it?
Sure does. So there you'll see a double twisting layout.
And it was the junior from Spain, Yana Guardiola Desmas, the transfer from Mars Hill University. Told you earlier that Shelby Armstrong helped build that program from the ground up. Also building Davis and Elkins, and now LIU. And we're going to take another look at the work from number 6 and company. By the way, Guardiola Desmas comes from a strong athletic family. Her brother Roger played basketball at Hannibal LaGrange University. So Georgian court, their start value is a 8.80.
So just about a point under what LIU had.
One thing Coach Garsha told us in our pre-production meeting, keep an eye on height, technique, and strong catches from the Georgian court bases, so we will do that. Good thing about this being an indoor sport, we don't need the binoculars. We can see ourselves. Here's Luann LeGregan soaring through the air.
So you're going to see that back tuck, open toss, and it was clean.
First heat in the books. The synchronized toss is coming up. And also coming up, the Japanese tea experience. May 4th, 2025. It will include a tour of the tea house and garden, a history of the Georgian Court University Japanese garden. There's a tea ceremony. You'll learn about the Japanese culture. It's from 2 to 4 p.m. The mansion on Georgian Court. And it's $20 per person. For more information, SKOMAGATA at georgian.edu. Fun fact, Sam, Georgian Court is one of only 4 tea houses in the state of New Jersey. And May 4th, 2025 is that Japanese tea experience. And it also is the Women's Lacrosse CACC Championship game. So I can't think of any better way than having some tea and going and watching some high-level women's lacrosse out on the turf. And here we go with LIU.
Now they start with a 9.40 start value here.
Lila Campbell-Stephen on the right, Christina DiVincenzo on the left. It doesn't matter who they bring out to fly through the air. Tremendous from LIU.
Absolutely, and those were synchronized back full twisting layouts.
Lila Campbell-Stephen, by the way, 8th in beam, 12th in floor in gymnastics at the 2021 U.S. Nationals.
That's very impressive.
This deep roster for LIU as we get another look at Lila and Christina. And strong catches from the bases. Once again, our great sponsors, Stouts Transportation, Kessler Rehabilitation Center, Castle Interactive, Bob McCloskey Insurance, Shore Volleyball Academy. We thank you all for your support of Georgian Court Athletics here on the CACC Digital Network. And here come the Lions of Georgian Court.
And they again will start with a value of 8.80. So again, looking for synchronization here.
How difficult do you think it is to get both sides synced out perfectly?
I mean, it's all about timing. And it really depends on the tossers on the bottom. They have to perfectly align with the other group, count it out, make sure they're throwing that top in the air at the correct time.
You know, and you mentioned the counter. You wonder also how much of it is that internal clock from the bases. They're listening to the counter, but they also, you know, they could be in sync when you first toss the athletes up, but there's no guarantee they're going to be in sync when they come and get caught.
Yep, that's absolutely a chance that they're not.
We take another look at Georgian courts. And you could see that Iacolo came down about a half second before LeGregan did on the left. I mean, it's tough to completely synchronize any skill set as we are moving on to the open heat. And then event 5, the tumbling.
And LIU will have a 9.30 start value here.
Ardilla.
So an interesting move that I don't think we've seen yet this season. It's the Arabian Salto Tuck, and it opens 180 degrees. Impressive.
It sure was from the Sharks. They've come in winners of 3 in a row, including a win over number 9 of the time, Frostburg State. At the time, number 15 in the country, Duquesne. And they beat a pretty strong Caldwell team. Georgian Court's going to get a shot at a revenge when they see them coming up on April 10th. Georgian Court lost a nail-biter to Caldwell on February 19th. Coach, you're not going to get much closer than this. The final score was 201.750 to 199.710.
Yeah, and we can chalk that up to what we talk about all the time. A little wobble, a little step, and that'll lose you that half a point or point deduction.
It's like when you always say post-game after, it's the little things. And in acrobatic and tumbling, those little things actually are big things. And
they do add up in the score in the end.
Resulted in a tight setback for Georgian Courts.
So Georgian Court will start with an 8.65 start value here.
The open toss, Iacolo.
So you saw that front pike open toss, but as you can see, there was a slight separation in her legs. That was actually on purpose. It was with a split this time, just for that extra tenth of a start value.
See, and that's the smart maneuvering there by Georgian Court. You just add in a little bit of a wrinkle to your normal skill set to try to steal a point here, a point there, and get yourself back into it.
Yep, that's the way to do it.
Event number 5, tumbling. This event has 6 heats. The first 3 are synchronized group tumbling passes, the duo, the trio, and the quad. The last 3 are the individual tumbling passes. The start value of each heat determined by the difficulty and combination of skills in each pass. Officials looking for body positioning, the continuity of skills, and the technique in each skill. Well, we've seen so many skills thus far tonight. The Sharks have been high-flying. We're waiting for the scores to work their way in from the 4th event, which was the toss. And while we wait, Remind our viewers that all the Georgian Court summer camps are coming soon, but there are currently some listed on the website, GCULionsCamps.com, and that includes the fan favorite, the Little Lion Multi-Sport Camp. So, GCULionsCamps.com. And the scores are in a 450 Salto heat. 9.45 for LIU, Georgian Court 8.15. At the synchronized, LIU at 8.85, Georgian Court at 7.60. And in the open, LIU 8.90, Georgian Court 7.5. LIU 27.200 in the event, Georgian Court 23.250. Again, the Lions still within shouting distance. LIU at 118 on the nose, Georgian Court at 97.350. Now this will be the area, though, where Georgian Courts might most feel the absence of Gianna Mirasol.
Tumbling event, absolutely.
Suffered an ankle injury earlier in the week in practice. They hope we'll have her back for that last meet against Caldwell on April 10th. And here we go, LIU.
All right, they are starting off with that round-off back handspring. 1.5 twist, step out to a round-off back handspring, back full layout.
Logan Lombardi, Michaela Steele for LIU.
Now you did see a slight step and a wobble in the middle coming out of that 1.5, but they recovered well out of it.
Georgian Court, their duo is going to be a pair of underclassmen. The true freshman, Katie Santisi. And how about this, Coach? Her high school teammate will join her for this, Luann LeGregan. They were high school teammates on the gymnastics team at Freehold Township High School. Won a state title in 2022. As we get a look at the scores again. Didn't get a chance to ask you because LIU is performing, but that was a pretty tight fourth event.
Absolutely, I believe so. I mean, Georgian Court held their own on that one. You saw that both teams were pretty close, within a point, basically, of where their start values were.
So LeGregan and Santisi with smiles on their faces, going over final preparations for the first heats. Santisi, number 15. Luann LeGregan, number 21.
So we didn't talk about the differences of start values here. LIU's duo was 9.55, and Georgian Court is going to be an 8.0.
LeGregan will start slightly in front on Santisi.
So you see a round-off back handspring, full twisting layout.
The high school teammates get it done for Georgian Court. Good open for the Lions in event number 5. Another look at Georgian Courts. I mean, that was pretty splendid from the Lions.
Absolutely. Synchronized, stuck landings.
We move on to the trio tumbling pass. Remember, the first 3 are synchronized group tumbling passes, then individual tumbling passes. Let's give you the participants for LIU. That is Taylor Jackson, Yana Guardiola Despis, and in the middle, Kylie Iwanaga, the transfer from Presbyterian College.
So again, looking for synchronization here. Round off back handspring, full twisting layout. Very clean.
Pretty in sync as well.
And that start value was an 8.0.
So, Guardiola Nispis earlier, the transfer from Mars Hill, Iwanaga, the former Blue Hose at Presbyterian College, and the true freshman out of Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada, Taylor Jackson. They made up that trio tumbling pass for LIU. For Georgian courts, Mia Zdanowicz, Ashley Salveson, and Caroline Yakalo. Up here in the booth alongside Georgian court head women's lacrosse coach Sam Hosford and producer Robbie Fitzpatrick. Big happy birthday to Robbie. Does not look a day over 29. I'm Andrew Byrne. We thank you so much for joining us on the CACC Digital Network. No better place to spend your Friday night than inside the GCU Wellness Center on what is a busy weekend coming up for Georgian Court Athletics. We'll bring you men's lacrosse tomorrow, starting at 11:45 or so against Post, and baseball on Sunday from the Jackson Justice Complex in Jackson, New Jersey, starting at 1:45. A doubleheader against the Chargers. Now Georgian Court with a trio tumbling pass.
There we go. Round off back handspring, back layout. They all stuck that. The important piece of that, though, was that they needed to stick that landing with their feet together. So we did see a little bit of a step back. But other than that, it was landed, and it was pretty synchronized.
I would say so far in this fifth event, Georgian Court has been matching LIU step for step.
Absolutely.
I mean, we don't know the scores, but in terms of overall skill sets and completion, I mean, it's been pretty close thus far. Here we go in the quad heat. Now, this is the toughest of the heats because it is very hard to sync up 4 passes at once.
And this is where you'll see the biggest gap between LIU and Georgian Court with start values. LIU is going to start into 8.75, and Georgian Court is going to start at a 6.75. So just about 2 points.
Sasha Ferry, Christina DiVincenzo, Jalen Wright, McKenna Gaidish are your 4. Let's see if the Sharks can do what's hard to do, sync up 4 passes.
All right, here we go. Round off back handspring, 1.5. And they all landed it.
Not completely in sync, but as you said, they all landed upright. There'll be a slight deduction, but nothing egregious there.
And the important part for them there was to stick those landings, considering the gap in the start values between them and Georgian Court.
So now it'll be Georgian Court's turn, and before they compete in the quad heats, how about a little bit more about the National Collegiate Acrobatics and Tumbling Association? The NCATA is the governing body for acrobatics and tumbling. They exist to provide leadership, governance, and education for the sport of acrobatics and tumbling at the collegiate level based on fair and safe athletic competition while continuing to expand varsity opportunities for female student athletes at the collegiate level. Acrobatics and tumbling is a discipline of USA Gymnastics. For Georgian Court, here are your 4. Ellie Pompliano, Caitlin Meyer, Kimberly Shadwald, and Caitlin DePasquale. Well, Caitlin, a graduate of my alma mater, Manalapan High School. Go Braves.
All right, round off back handspring, back tuck. And they all stuck it.
I mean, to the naked eye, Georgian Courts there didn't have the extra wobble. It'll be interesting to see the point deductions because they weren't perfectly in sync either. Each team had some miscues in what is the toughest tumbling pass. So we have completed the group portion, and now we move on to the individual portion. There will be the aerial heat, the 6-element heat, and the open heat, and then the team event. Organized chaos. So many things can happen. Crab pyramids, maybe an octopus move. We are going to have to wait and see what these teams bring to the table.
First is the aerial pass. Up first, the start value of 9.55. From LIU, we have number 42, McKenna Gaidish.
McKenna Gaidish out of Surrey in British Columbia. First up for LIU. Number 42 in the blue and yellow.
So yeah, front handspring, front tuck, step out. Round off back handspring. 1.5 twisting layout. And that start value was a 9.55.
And for Georgian Court, their start value is an 8.35. And who do they have up? Well, that would be Luann LeGregan. The third-team All-State gymnast at Freehold Township High School. She was also All-Shore Conference. Part of a Freehold Township High School program that became the first New Jersey public school to win 4 state titles.
She's been strong.
And at the time of our research, Sierra Garcia, the Georgian Court head coach, her alma mater, RBC, a New Jersey record 11 state titles. Coach Garcia's won everywhere she's been, high school, college at Oregon, national champion. And now here in Georgian Courts. Top of your screen, a close-up of Luann LeGregan.
All right, round off, whip, back handspring, back handspring, back handspring, full twisting layout. She stuck it. Little low on that back twisting layout, but overall she recovered from it, stuck the landing. Did a good job.
Sophomore's been such a key component of Georgian Court's roster since last season. And now we move to the 6-element solo pass. And again, no Gianna Mirasol tonight for Georgian Court, so others getting an opportunity to step up. We know for the Lions it is going to be Katie Santisi. And for LIU, that is Taylor Jackson.
So on these aerial solos, we'll see, or I'm sorry, the 6-element solo pass, we will see similar start values. Again, 8.85 for LIU and 8.6 for Georgian Court.
8.85, as you just heard Sam mention, the start value for Taylor Jackson.
Here we go. Round off, whip, whip, back handspring, full twisting layout. And with excellent form as well.
One thing that we haven't mentioned yet, but we're going to talk about it here because of where Jackson finished. It is amazing, the student athletes' floor awareness to how close to the end of the mat they are. She did a great job stopping right in the corner and knowing exactly where she needed to land to stick it.
And that's exactly what they use warm-up for. Finding that spacing, being able to see where they need to start their run from.
Because I'll tell you what, when they start going and they have so much speed, you think they could wind up in the 5th row of the bleachers. And then next thing you know, it's just a perfect stop with plenty of real estate.
You actually learned that mat very well, so you know the spacing. You're able to figure out what works best for you. And eventually it just becomes kind of second nature to know where to land.
8.6. Katie Santisi. She competed this pass for the first time at AIC, set a season high with an 8.325 out of an 8.6 start value.
All right. Front handspring, front tuck, step out, round off, 2 back handsprings into a full twisting back layout. And that was beautiful.
Right in front of the home crowd. First time she's performed it at home, to the delight of the GCU faithful. And we take another look. Final heats before we move to event number 6, the team event. This is the open heat. LIU with a start value of 9.55. According to their schedule, this is it for them in the regular season. Georgian Court has one more meet, April 10th against Caldwell, 6 p.m. We go on the air right around 5:50. We are expecting a very close affair between those two in-state rivals, separated by just a couple of points last time out.
Up first, the start value of 9.55. From Rhode Island University, we have number 21,
Michaela Steele, the level 10 gymnast out of Henderson, Nevada for LIU.
All right. We're going to see a round off into a back handspring to 1.5 step out, round off back handspring full. That was impressive.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's not like a 9.45 out of the 9.55. It's tough to get a perfect score, but that was
We saw
outrageous.
a similar tumbling pass earlier where they did wobble out of the 1.5 full twisting layout. So it's nice to see they connected that well. And this is another score start value that you'll see a little bit of differential with LIU and Georgian Court. LIU, like we said, started at a 9.55. Georgian Court is going to start at a 7.25.
And they are going to start with the true freshman by way of Old Bridge High School, who when she's not on the floor competing for Georgian Court is a gymnastics coach. That is Ashley Salveson. We're going to keep an eye on her extension and her height in the layout.
Round off, back handspring, back layout, stuck.
So Salveson, multi-sport athlete out of St. John Vianney High School, gets it done for Georgian Court to complete the 5th event, the tumbling event. And here we go, organized chaos time, the team event, the last event of the night. This event encompasses everything that you've watched in the first 5 events. You can have up to 24 athletes on the floor at one time that perform skills in acrobatics, toss, pyramid, and tumbling in a routine that is set to music. The judges are evaluating the student athletes on synchronization, stability, body position, and their technique while tumbling. This is a very fast-paced event. Do not blink, because if you do, you're going to miss several things. Clothespins ready, stick them on your eyelids, and let's watch for the next couple of minutes some exciting action. We also have to report the scores for event number 5, which was the recently completed tumbling event. 6 heats, the duo, the trio, and the quad. Those were all your group tumbling passes, and then we broke off into the individual ones, the aerial, the 6 element, and the open. Waiting for the scores to filter into the NCATA tracking sheets. What have been your overall takeaways from the night thus far, Sam?
I mean, I think we've seen good things out of both teams. Definitely, LIU has looked strong the entire meet, which I think has been great to see. But Georgian Court has had their moments, so it's been great to see them kind of step up in the events that they know they can.
Here are your scores. In the duo, 7.95 LIU, 7.45 Georgian Court. In the trio, 7.45 LIU, 6.05 Georgian Court. In the quad, 7.75 LIU, 5.25 GCU. Then in the individual tumbling passes, the aerial, 9.175 LIU, 7.65 Georgian Court. The six element, 8.5 for the visitors, 8.175 GCU. And in the open, 9.175 LIU, 6.75 Georgian Court. 50 on the nose for LIU, 41.325 for Georgian Court. It is 168 to 138.65. And Sam, coming into the team event, Georgian Court finds themselves less than 30 points down. An opportunity to build off a program record 71.70 score they turned in the team event last time out.
Yeah, and I think that they do a good job in the team event every single time. So it's fun to watch them. Hopefully they can pull out a good score at the end of it.
Let's see if all 26 take to the mat for LIU.
And you'll see that LIU's team event has a start value of 100.30.
They get 2 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. They have taken the floor with a majority of their team. I believe they have a student athlete out with an injury like Georgian Court does. Looks like Nicole Espinoza is out, but still has been cheering on her teammates all night long. The transfer out of Glenville State. The music is on. The action has started. LIU organized chaos. 2 minutes and 45 seconds of fast-paced action. And Sam, what do you look for most during the team events?
I mean, obviously we like to see them stick those landings on those tumbling passes, being really synchronized, which they are exactly doing right this moment, and just holding strong throughout the whole thing.
This last event puts together all the skills you've seen all night long.
A few slight wobbles, but recovery, that is what is important.
Back tuck dismount for all of those tops. Still a minute and 40 seconds for LIU. You don't have to use the entire time if you don't want to.
So we just saw a combination of 9 different round-off back handspring back twisting layouts.
More tumbling passes led by Christina DiVincenzo. Now we're going to see some of those, what we call the table bridges, unfolding at the top of your screen. The back bends. Plus a thigh stand.
And they are strong with it.
4 synchronized straddle holds.
Some more tumbling. We're seeing some 1.5 back twisting layouts now. And they are definitely getting some height on those tumbling passes.
.30 seconds. This will end shortly with a dance portion, and then, as we've learned, you shout out the mascot. Here it comes. One final opportunity to display some skills. The dancing has started. And to LIU, there was a fall. There were a couple of bobbles and wobbles, but overall, they used up 243 of their 245. There was a lot to like from LIU.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the team event was well put together. They had a lot of elements in it, a lot of things that we saw throughout the night that they were able to incorporate into it as well. Oops, sorry.
And now it is Georgian Court's turn in the team event. Don't forget, coming up after this one, the Garden Savings Federal Credit Union post-meet show with Georgian Court head coach Sierra Garcia. Garden Savings Federal Credit Union, a better place to bank. Hope you'll tune in tomorrow for Georgian Court men's lacrosse against Post. Mickey Hover's bunch has completed the non-conference portion of their schedule. They are one of 4 remaining unbeaten teams in the CACC. They're 2-0. Wilmington's 2-0. Chestnut Hill's 2-0. Post is 2-0. Something's got to give tomorrow between Georgian Court and Post. It should be a fun one. Lions are coming off a tough 12-4 loss to number 18 Malloy. Just couldn't get going offensively until late in the third quarter. Georgian Court women's lacrosse. Coach, we have a moment. What's going to be the big key for you guys tomorrow to pick up the big win over Dominican and remain unbeaten after a couple of big-time offensive performances against Caldwell and Chestnut Hill?
Yeah, I mean, I think those games are great for us in order to get our offense moving, and that's exactly what we needed, and a little bit of a spark there. Get them used to moving the ball a little bit faster, and, you know, our defense has been very solid, so we're looking forward to tomorrow's game.
Mentioned that defense shut out Chestnut Hill, did not give the Griffins much room, if any. First shutout for Georgian Court in a couple of years when you blanked an Alliance program at home, and 5th all-time shutout. It is tough to shut out an opponent, so very impressive work from Georgian Court, and they'll look to keep it up against the 2-time defending champs Chargers of Dominican. And Georgian Court softball has a double dip tomorrow against Felician. Track and field is in action down in South Jersey, competing at Stockton. Baseball is up in New York, taking on Dominican. We'll see them at home, finally, at the Jackson Justice Complex on Sunday. Arlen Freeman's bunch in his first season. Conference play is in full swing. Little wrinkle there, Sam, while we wait for Georgian Court to be given the thumbs up that they can go to the mat and compete here. In several sports, basketball and volleyball, Georgian Court members of the South Division, but in baseball, Georgian Court is in the North Division.
It's interesting. Well, we are Central New Jersey.
Which does exist.
It sure does.
I know. I mean,
we are in it currently.
We sure are, but you will find people who will swear to you that it is North and South and there's not Central Jersey. And when you say to them, okay, well, then why does, like Central Jersey Group 4 exist in high school in the middle? Next question. So it exists. We know it exists.
And that is why we get split from North and South sometimes.
And we're inside the GCU Wellness Center watching a very competitive Georgian Court and LIU team duking it out in the National Collegiate Acrobatics and Tumbling Association meet. 2 minutes, 45 seconds on the clock. Can I say, DJ, start that music?
In 3, 2, 1. I thought I was going to get that.
I thought you were. I think Katie down there, her
She
thumb was a little slow on the space bar. Here we go, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. This is big for Georgian Court. They turned in a program record, 71.700 in this event last time out.
And they are at a start value of 91.57.
What are you watching for Georgian Court here?
I mean, I think it's important for them to stick all these tumbling passes for sure. And obviously have those synced pyramids.
A lot of firsts for Georgian Court. This is Ali Pompliano's first time basing as a thigh stand, and Sam Sesta topping. Sesta is also debuting in the tosses in the middle toss group. Keep an eye on all of that action.
All right, here we go.
There is Sesta, top right of your screen. Nice little tuck. Good work from Chloe Jorgensen, bottom left of your screen, number 9 in the white and gold.
So we'll see those tosses next.
90 seconds remaining for Georgian court.
And that is that synchronized front pike open toss with a split, which is new today. Seeing a lot of landings here, which is great. One fall, but that's fine.
Yakalo and Meyer were the most recent for Georgian courts.
Round out back handspring, back tucks.
Individual tumbling passes from the Lions. They have a minute to work with.
Hands did tap down there, which would count as a fall, but let's hope they recover. Which that was a good recovery out of it.
Into position they go. 40 seconds left for Georgian courts. Everybody hopping over. Count them real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everybody dismounts together. And now the dancing portion to end it.
And you're going to see that pike pyramid off to your left-hand side.
Nice finish from Chloe Jorgensen and Georgian court with 1 second left on the clock. We will wait for the final scores to be tabulated. Remind our viewers that coming up, we're going to hear from Coach Garcia as part of the Garden Savings Federal Credit Union post-meet show as you get a look at Georgian Court's team event replay. And Sam, before the final score works its way to us, your overall impressions of tonight's meet, starting with the visitors in LIU.
LIU was strong this evening. I mean, I think we have seen that in previous years, and it's been really great to see them come back and be as strong as they were last season. I think that their tumbling was super strong. They have a lot of great elements to their events, and overall, they just competed very well today.
On the other side for Georgian court, there was a lot to like from them. We told you about some of the key pieces that are out due to injury. What stood out for you about their effort tonight?
I think they recovered really well out of the mistakes that they did make, and I think that's what's really important at the end of the day. Being able to find those areas that they can thrive in and be able to make sure that they continue to do that in the future meets.
Georgian court came in about 30 points or so down to the team events. Alongside our producer, Robbie Fitzpatrick, my partner, Sam Hosford, I'm Andrew Byrne. I'll be honest, Coach, I'm afraid to say this. I looked to our right and thought there was a garbage can that had dumped out on the floor. That's just all the gloves and stuff of LIU. I thought we were going to have to call on the hardworking maintenance staff here at Georgian Court, which is...
all the gloves, the tape.
There's a lot that goes into preparing for an acrobatics and tumbling meet. You know, the Georgian Court student athletes put down the mat with some help. They put down the practice mats. And we are waiting for the team event scores to be calculated. This usually takes the longest amount of time because there's a lot to dissect. 2 minutes and 45 seconds of nonstop action. 3 judges sit on press row. And calculate the scores.
And it's just that waiting game again.
LIU having some fun on the practice mat. That is Ardilla and Gabrielle Moore, the native of Plano, Texas. As Georgian Court's team event replay continues on your screen. Inside the Wellness Center, not on your screen where you might be watching at home. So approximately 75-inch big screen TV, giving a added element to the fans inside the Wellness Center. And LIU always travels well. You knew Georgian Court was going to have big-time crowd support. We're keeping a close eye on the NCATA tracking sheets. Nothing has materialized yet. Lions came in about 30 points behind LIU. They are looking for a fourth consecutive win and a fifth win in their last 6 meets. Georgian Court was coming off a sweep of AIC and Stevenson. First time they've accomplished that in a tri-meet. Last year 1-6. They are 3-3 are the Lions this season. And a tight loss to Caldwell. They'll get a chance at revenge on April 10th. They'll hope to have Gianna Mirasol, an important element for them, back. We're going to take a break. Team event score is coming up. This is the CACC Digital Network. Final score is in the team event. 81.5 for LIU, 62.620 for Georgian Court. Your final score, LIU 249.5. Georgian Court with their third highest score in program history at 201.295. LIU has won 4 in a row. They're 5-4. Georgian Court sees their 2-meet winning streak halted. They're 3-4. Overall impression.
Yeah, I mean, I think Georgian Court still looks happy with their score. I mean, they're breaking the 200 mark, which I think is important for this program. And they're going against a very competitive LIU team. So it's great to see that they're making strides in the right direction. And, of course, LIU was strong as they have been.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I'm going to ask Coach Garsha about that post-meet, about the importance of continually breaking 200 points. So they didn't do it in their first meet. They fell less than a point shy in their second meet, 199.710. But then 203, 210, and now 201. So 3 consecutive times Georgian Court above 200 points. You're starting to see that consistency from the Lions.
Absolutely, and I think that's the most important piece of holding that program to that standard. being able to make sure that they just continue in that path going forward, and especially in their last meet of the year against Caldwell.
And that is on April 10th. We're going to take a break. We'll chat with Sierra Garcia coming up on the CACC Digital Network.
Have you ever needed to stop or change the way you do something you love because of aches, pains, or injury? The physical therapists at Kessler Rehabilitation Center are here to get you back to work, life, and your favorite activities. Most importantly, your goals are their goals. Their movement experts will listen and develop an individualized treatment plan so you can heal. Begin care faster by requesting an appointment today at Kessler-PT.com. Experience the power of physical therapy today.
And we welcome you back inside the GCU Wellness Center as part of the Garden Savings Federal Credit Union post-meet show. We are joined now by Georgian Court head coach Sierra Garcia. And coach, my partner Sam Hosford was talking about this, the consistency from Georgian Court of late, continually cracking 200 points. You do it again tonight. How important has that been over the last couple of meets to see your team hit that quote-unquote magic number?
Yeah, that was our goal from the beginning of the season. So it's really cool that even though things did go wrong today, we are still hitting that, and we do get better each time, no matter what the event is. Of course, we scored a little bit lower than last week, but I'm still really proud of the team, so we're happy about it.
This was a Georgian Court team that was shorthanded. No Gianna Mirasol tonight, but there were a lot of student athletes that had an opportunity to step up and compete in certain events and display skill sets they hadn't this season. You use this as a big kind of not just learning experience, but an opportunity for them to grow and mature with getting this kind of opportunity?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, Gianna got hurt and we only had around 2 practices to fix everything, so we definitely put a lot of athletes who weren't in those positions in it, so it is a lot of their first times even competing in that spot, which was really cool just to see the resilience and the fight in everyone, and just seeing how versatile all of our athletes are, that they're able to just be put in any spot and execute.
How much is it on your mind to get a little bit of revenge on April 10th against Caldwell? You lost to them last time in a nail-biter, as close as a meet as you can see.
Yeah.
How much are you thinking about that one?
Oh yes, that's definitely like our big meet. We aren't going to the championship, so it's nice that we have a little bit of a conference championship at the end, and we could just let out all of our hard work that we've been doing this season. And then hopefully Gianna's back in for that meet as well, so we can get some of those more consistent skills back and get some higher scores. Appreciate the time as always, Coach. And we said this earlier, but thank your mom for the great cheesecake she made for Robbie's birthday. Shout out to Nancy Garcia, Oh for Goodness Cake on Instagram. Amazing cheesecake. Thank you. I'll let her know. She'll be so happy. Happy birthday, Robbie. That does it for our coverage of Georgian Court Acrobatics and Tumbling. We'll see you tomorrow for men's lacrosse against Post. Andrew Burns signing off on the CACC Digital Network.